Windows Genesis sequence.
Okay. Sequence initiated. This talk is interesting one because I had a podcast with Stefan, the organizer of the conference, and I said, hey, what we talk about LLM and enterprise is important topic, submit a talk. So I did. And then I said, this may be also interesting, and also submit this one. But I wrote, if you can, cancel this one because no one will be interested in it. But it seems like it worked well. So my name is Adam Bean, and I'm a YouTuber right now almost. How it happened, conference asked me about a promotion, and I recorded a short. It was 2 years ago. But I said the short is actually nice, 60 seconds. And I got lots of questions, Java is bloated, or system out println is too long. And I said, you know what? I take the time, 30 seconds, I record a short. And I did it, and now they are almost 800 recorded. And I get more and more feedback and comments. And what I did, I picked the most interesting ones, from my perspective, about 100, and will present to you, but all 800 on my YouTube channel. And I'm recorded daily, actually. Because sometimes there is a meeting, Teams meeting, and it's boring, so you can always do something more productive than talk about issues and tickets and stuff like that, right? So AX Industry was a joke. People thought I have a big company, but there is nothing, just me. I'm a freelancer. So I immediately registered AX Industries. Now it looks serious, right? So I still like Java. And there's and this is actually the podcast. This was the podcast about DevOps Genie with Stefan. So how it happened. So if you're interested, you can also listen to it. Podcast also just fun. I have no time to spend at conferences. So just only today here. And so this is why I invite interesting people and chat with them. So this is my hack, social hack, if you will. And so this is the YouTube channel. And this is actually not true. I asked YouTube how many shorts are there, and there's more than 650, which is true. But I thought about this. Last year, there were 500, and I'm recording daily, so it should be like 800. So I would say more than 650, more like 800 shorts. Okay, and this is basically it. This slide has nothing to do with the session, but I always have to show it. And what it actually just explains is how good Java does comparing to other languages regarding performance and memory, and I need the slide always because of clouds. So people say Java is not cloud native or whatever, so I show the slide, then discussion is over, and I do Java all the time in the clouds. So this is what I'm actually doing, right? And so this was the last slide. And now let's start. I will sit down because coding and standing is hard. I don't plan, to code a lot. More show you ready-to-use code. So I needed some infrastructure how to pick, the shorts. So I've wrote a JavaScript, and what it does is, if a short is interesting, it creates something on the left. And what I found out is you cannot just name Java programs starting with a number. So it starts with S for short, and I try to show you 100 of them. So and you ask questions if you like something or not. Just ask and whatever. So this is my script, and this is a true script. So it is started as a shell script, and what it does, it creates something on the left. So this is how Java looks like normally. Size is okay, right? We are all young, eyes are perfect, so right? So now what I tend to do is I write something like this. So I tend to use interfaces, and this is, by the way, the most asked question, why I'm doing this. And why? Because it's shorter, and this is for me natural human-machine interface. And because it's interface, you don't have to use, here public. You can just use static void, and this is my main. So why I write so many mains? Because I use Java as automation language for everything. So I wanted to learn Python. I bought the book, but not even started. And Java was so simple, so actually most of the shorts are about automation, right? So now the next one, you are a smart Java developer. So what you can do is, oh, by the way, the first hack is, if you have Java, you don't have auto-completion on Mac. And it's really hard to implement this because you have to sign stuff or whatever. So therefore, I created a alias, Jav, and this Jav alias, it just is alias to Java and $1. So if I write Jav instead of Java, I get a proper code completion or auto completion, and it works like that. What you see is you don't have to compile Java code. And this is pretty cool because this is how I automate my stuff. I don't use Java C anymore, nothing, just Java, and it works. Even better with Java 22 or Java 23, I actually forgot, you can have multiple source files, so not only one. And this is actually perfect. So there's no Maven, no Ant, nothing, no Gradle, right? You just have Java and you run it. And by the way, no time for it, but install Java is a breeze, it's a double click, right? Or just, I had to install Python environment, and I thought this cannot be true, because they said, okay, this is easy or whatever, and I spent, no kidding, 2 hours, and PIP3 still didn't work because I forgot an alias, and at the end they say, whatever I did was wrong, because I had to start with Anaconda in the first place. Okay, cool, but, so main interface, it looks like that. So we already discussed that. So var args was the first question. What it is, also var args, you can do, you can do this, or you can just use the string. Not a problem. The first thing, people were surprised, we have scheduler built in Java. So for me, actually I use it all the time back then, but people say, okay, you can do this, and yeah, absolutely. I have just 4 timer, so we have a small timer. Sometimes it is nice to have it, and I think it was introduced in Java 1.3. And this is the better version of it. This is a scheduled thread pool. You can achieve exactly the same, but you have more control. So sometimes if we are on serverless environments and we have no Quarkus, nothing, just plain Java, it says we get a scheduler for free, which is actually pretty cool. So, and with that, so I can do the same with S05. And so you get the same, but it's more configurable, okay? Now, file watch, you know that? So what you can have, you can build your own hot deployment. This is the entire code. By the way, the code you see on the screen is everything, right? And I usually wrote it under 60 seconds live. So what I just did, I copied it over here to show you actually the result, because we have no time to write it 100 times again, and I wrote it once, so it's boring, do it again. So how this works, I have to remember what it actually does, but as I remember, what it does is, so now it blocks, but if I create a new file here, and this was actually what it does. Okay, and I can say touch devox, and it is not well done. You see devox. So it watches file changes actively. So it is not always the best idea because it is slow. So sometimes it's easier to scan by yourself, but in case it works, it works. So nothing to do here, it just works out of the box, part of Java. And also forgot to mention there are no external libraries, never, right? So whatever I do is built into Java, which is also cool because I do lots of code reviews, and mostly what I have to do is I delete 50 dependencies because the developers forgot why they are there. So yeah. File diff. So what it does, you can have, you can compare 2 files, and that's all. This is Java Nio, and what you get is the first byte, which is different. So this is it's also built in. So we have A and B, A and B. So this is AA, AA. Let's see, this is B. Now they should be different. And this was Jav S07, and if you run it, you see, okay, the first byte was different, right? So this is less useful, but interesting. That's less useful. What we did with that infrastructure as code, we found whether the files were changed or not, for instance, right? So this is enough to know whether they are different, not what is different, right? So it is useful for specific aspects. So this one is actually pretty cool. So this is Java AWS toolkit, and what I'm doing here, I have a Java message from Java nanotime, and what I can do with it. So this is that. So with that, I can. So I clean my terminal. So I copy it from Java to Clipboard, and the other way around is also possible. Why I need it, I wrote a clipboard cleaner, which removes all the styles, for instance, with pure Java. It was on my GitHub, but there's like 2 lines of code. So this is not a serious project. The logo is bigger than the code actually, right? So, and the read from clipboard, this is the other way around. So that's all you need. So for automation, pretty cool. So I do it all the time. If you have some code which has to be processed or whatever, Java invokes or copy, paste. I run the script. It picks from the this. This is like Mac shortcuts on steroids because Java is Apple shortcuts. I mean, this is almost, I would say, as as fun as Terraform. I would say, if you would like to have for loop or if you need already some involvement, right? So this is yeah. So read from console. You say, okay. I also found on Twitter this is hard, and so you see. Let's see how hard it really is. So we have here Java, so and weights. So and written, so that's all, right? So pretty cool. So if you build this, actually, I tried to do it in Bash. Also did it. I think Java is nicer than Bash, for instance, here. And so I have it. I can just run the script, right? Read password, the same but masked. Also pretty cool. So there with nothing. So we can run it if you say. So and you see also how fast Java starts. I don't have to tell you, but I hear it, on conferences all the time. So this is now the same but masked. So there is no output. So custom JVM, so this is with a little bit, so what you can do, I can have here, so what it does, I will have to compile the class custom JVM the first time I'm compiling, right? And so it is, I did it yesterday in the hotel, so this is compiled. Believe me, Java is a compiled language. It looks like it is very dynamic, but there is a Java C, right? So, and so I compiled the Java code, there is the bytecode, and what I can do with that, I can create my own stripped down JDK. Why? Because if I do this JDEPs and I invoke S12 custom class, it will tell me you only need Java base and Java base. This is all you need, Java IO and Java lang. And with that, what I can do, I can say, okay, then create please a custom runtime called Devox. And okay, it already exists. This was then Genesis is the new Genesis, I think Genesis. And it creates here the Genesis JVM, which is stripped down to the minimum, and I can just use it. So if I go here to Genesis, I get my own JVM with just 2 modules, which now started and it runs. Okay? I wanted to ask you, I always ask questions, but you can just interrupt me. So emoji, so this is boring, you will see our rocket, but it's perfectly supported. Actually use emojis a lot in product presentation, APIs, and logs as well. It's actually pretty cool. If you have log levels, you can have emojis. This is really nice to spot them. Actually, this is, yeah, colors, right? So, so this is boring emoji, S3 emoji, class not found, why not? Ah, thank you. This is why I never talk alone. I always prefer to audience. They help me. So, so do that again. So now you have the rocket. So what's also surprising, but this is not a Java feature, but also use it all the time. You can do this, right? So if you run this with Java, you can have colors, which is also cool for, and this is just, this is ANSI escapes code in Wikipedia. This is all you need, system out printing have colors, very useful in logging. So built-in logger, this is my first choice, Java lang system logger, ships no external dependencies and is mapped internally to Java util logger. So why I use it, so we are in the clouds and we tend to use 0 dependencies. And in the cloud, logging is less exciting, I would say, because you log more or less to system out print line and this is redirected somewhere else, right? So this is what usually happens. Okay, so this auto-closable, so what this is the deal about, you can have your own auto-closable. So this is actually, you can create your own auto-closable which closes. I forgot why we did it. I think it was something with connection and Postgres in the cloud, but you can have your own auto-closable. Static initializer is more fun, right? So you can have as many static initializers as you like. I skipped some obvious stuff, right? So because on YouTube, everyone was excited, well, maybe there were students, and we are already also students, but advanced, Padawans. So, so you can have as many static initializers as you like. So this is also surprising. And now, this is maybe interesting. 2 constructors, 1 initializer. Now the question is what happens here? And if we run it, so what you will see, nothing, Java this and Java, you will see that this is executed every time. So it is attached, you can reuse code. So the static initializer, it runs always as constructor. So this was just accident. So it's not like something super useful, but good to know that something like this actually happens. You remember that. This was like, in Germany, we have millions of articles, Java ships with asserts, and now it's forgotten. So assert is a keyword, there's nothing to do with JUnit, and you can just use it. So if I run the thing here, nothing will happen because I have to enable them and say -EA, and you see now it's enabled. So I recently reviewed an old code and they use asserts. So I remembered, wow, right. So this was like, no, there are preconditions, whatever. So we have actually, it's my fault, I should review the DevOps submissions 20 years ago, and there was asserts were big, I'm sure. By the way, I forgot something from yesterday, actually. This was yesterday on Twitter, which was crazy popular, 100,000 views. And someone said, will she forgive me, say 1,000 times, and he wrote such a Java code. So my response was, with this code, never, no chance, right? So what I did is, why don't you write this code and submit it? And now they are discussing this code, and Anton from Kotlin said, okay, Kotlin is nicer and whatever, right? So this is how the shorts happen. But I mean, his wife or whoever it is, right? So I mean, if everyone can read code, and this is not very pretty, no, right? So this will publish tomorrow, maybe. So this tweet, right? So if I'm home, so. This was that. We were 2019, something like this. Assert. This is magical. So this is what every developer would like to have. So after that, conference is done. Watch this. It clears the terminal. This is the magic sequence. If you do output in Java, debug, system out, print, and whatever, with that, everything is clean again. Okay, compact number format. What happens here? Who knows? Super cool, actually, as well. 10K. Super cool, right? Do it all the time, milliseconds and whatever. So just do it nicer. So recently, I do lots of performance, comparison in the cloud instead of always. So, recently I was on short 7 zeros. Are 10 millions? They are. You will see 10M, for instance. Pretty cool, right? So okay, this is Project Coin, old one. It just works. You can just use this way. So this is like, okay, I don't have to start it, right? So the functional interface, I got lots of questions what it's about. So what's the functional interface? This is actually just a compiler trick. So if you do this second, you get compiler error, right? Because this is like hard-coded annotation. But this is, I think, one of the view annotation which has behavior somehow, right? Because all others, they are pointless. It's just metadata. But this is the only one I know which actually something happens. And this is like magic, because if you look at the annotation, there is nothing inside. So there's just document retention is nothing special, but it behaves specially. Okay? Single abstraction method. No one talks about that, but it's also hysteria back then. What was all classes all classes with a single method can be mapped to runnable, lambda, whatever. This is SEM. This was just an old term. I remembered, so no one talks about that, but at the beginning of Java 8, there was a session over session just about the SAMs. This is, I don't like it actually. It happened, I did it in a project, and I'm misusing optional here for providing default values. So there are parameters like of nullable or else Duke. You could do exactly the same with objects, require null, require not null. What's cool with optionals is I could go here and normalize this and say map, for instance, and say string to uppercase. And this is not possible with objects require not null, right? So in the short, I recorded without the map. What we did in projects, there was also some specific environment variables, whatever, which we transformed. So this makes more sense. So objects preconditions, objects require not null. This is actually the better way to do this instead of optional, but the cool story is the last parameter is can error on the fly. So this is calculated if this happens. So this is a lambda expression. So this is not obvious, it's also interesting. And so I can just show you how an error looks like, because Java is also able to throw exceptions. This looks like this. And you see this is thrown from here, okay? So formatted, a big thing. So with formatted, you can have multi-line strings, and I use this in real projects for tests always for JSON generation, for instance. So my unit test, we need JSON. So what we have, I load a JSON from file, so I record something, put it to source test resources, then read it, then replace the elements with $s or whatever, $d, and then it is working. And I'm actually using this, because this is lesser known. This is formatting with positional parameters. So what it says is you can reuse parameters. The problem with $s is in one point of time you have a lot of parameters. You know, if you have the same parameter twice, you have still, pass it twice. And here you can say $s and $s, and you can reuse the parameter. Okay? So pretty cool. So on my blog, so I had, there was a longer story with a blog, but the new blog is just Quarkus and almost nothing. And I needed a template engine. And what I did there, but it's very limited, but works also perfectly, replace all. So I had to replace all, chain of replace alls, and it looks almost like JSPs back then, right? So it's slow. I mean, it should be slow, but it's surprisingly fast because there's no database, nothing, right? So in my case. So create temp folder. So it creates a temp folder. Why I'm showing you this for unit tests? Perfect. So you generated files for unit test. You put them to a temp folder. So during the unit test, you have the files. Afterwards, it's gone. So this is really useful. Create directories. This is very useful. So usually, if you don't do this, you're only able to create one directory at a time. With that, it is like mkdir -p. You can create the whole hierarchy of directories, which is I use all the time. If I have to install something with Java or in code build, I need some hierarchy. This is what we are using. And the opposite is also true. We can have a directory stream, and if you search something, right? So you would like to start here. So I'm starting in the path. And what I'm doing here, I'm walking all the directories and can search for something there, right? Also very useful. Big data, for instance, we had to find CSV files. So we started a directory and just found them and did something with them and merged them or whatever. So you have 5 CSVs and you would like to merge them. This is the way to go. So capitalize, so character to uppercase, the first one, and Duke becomes Duke. So I don't like to launch everything because something is not obvious, but so we have the Duke, and for instance, sometimes camel case, right? So CloudFormation, camel case, environment variables are bigger with underscores, so lots of data, processing, and yeah. So cloud native system end. So at the beginning, there was the 12 factors or 13 factors, 12 factors app or 11 factors. There was from Heroku actually. They are here, and Java was not cloud native because the entire deal was to read stuff from environment variables. It still is. Whether you are running on Kubernetes, on Docker, or Lambda, Azure functions, you're always reading from environment variables, and this is the way to go. And there another method which is very useful is get or default. So you can have a default, right? So this is the another thing. So you can have here get or default, and you can pass the default value. So line string, watch this. This is a string. And this returns stream of strings. So you have a string, formatted, dot lines, and I get stream of strings. And now I can, filter for Java, find any or else not found. So with that, it will find the line with Java in it. Just do this. And Java rocks is Java rocks. Cool. Shell, you can run Java as a shell script, basically. This is, if you add this, I can run this as shell script. So this is the first thing. I don't like it a lot, and the reason is, but it works. So why? Because this is not a valid source code. So if I use it in a regular Java project, compiler will complain. So this is what I don't like about it. Otherwise, it will be brilliant. So what I do right now, I have a small shell wrapper which invokes that, but this also works perfectly, right? So file copy, this is the file copy. So also Twitter, I saw Java is terrible, and they wrote some code where the copied file is reading bytes. I was okay, I could do properly the same in Python, but no one does that, right? I could in Python for sure. I could read byte-wise and send it back. But this is the Java way: files, copy of app Java and app next. So and I had a chat with Java beginner, and they told me, yeah, Java is hard, but they learned from Stack Overflow. This is what we know. The questions we asked 20 years ago, it was JDK 1.0 or whatever, and this was the way to go, right? Not this, while and read this byte and wait until bytes ends. So no one does that, right? So stream array. So if you have a string, an array, there is a really useful method, stream of, which converts the array to a stream, because then it is really easy to work with. For instance, now I can say to uppercase, collectors joining or whatever. So if I invoke that and say Jav, and this was Devox and Duke. So you get, yeah, thank you. This was too much, right? So Devox and Duke, so you get the parameters of the Java is uppercase and they are joined by comma. Okay, someone asked me recently, what is faster, this with streams or string.join? There are two methods. And if you watch this, don't answer, but who knows, or what is your feeling? What is faster, streams, joining, or string.join? String.join is about 30% faster, interestingly. And parallel stream is even slower because there's the overhead with threads, right? But why, if you take a look at the code, string join is a highly optimized Java for loop, it looks like. And streams are more flexible, but a little bit more overhead. No one cares about the 30% in production, but this was a valid question, so let's try this out, right? Endless streams. So this is also useful. Let's imagine you would like to have prime numbers, or you're reading from a file, so you can generate here. I'm generating local datetime, and this is endless. So if I forgot the limit, so it will generate forever. So if I just do this and run it, it will generate 100, but I can do 1,000 or whatever, right? So okay. Oh, this was one of my first hacks or Java frameworks. What you can do is, with system.setout, you can redirect system.println. So it means if you have application with lots of system.printlns, you can redirect the entire thing to dev null or to a file. So back then, it was JDK 1.0.1.1 in enterprise project. Everyone uses system.println, so we redirected this to a file back then, and everyone was happy, except it was slow but happy. It's okay, right? So times versus chrono units. I don't know whether you noticed. There is time unit and chrono unit, but the time unit is not what you expect. Time unit you can sleep, and with chrono unit is this what you expect. So you can have between. You can have date operations with that, right? Integer caching. Oh, this is a good one, but terrible interview question because no one cares actually. But if you don't like someone, ask the question, right? So if you do this, 127 equals 127. And 128 should be also the same, but it's not. So don't tell it anyone because Python guys will make fun of us. So this has to be secret. But why it's the case? Because Java caches internally the integer instances. And why I know it? Because on Devox 20 years ago, everyone talked about that. And now it's forgotten, right? So now, JSON Web Token decoder. So there is a JSON Web Token IO. So this is my JSON Web Token. And I would like to use plain Java to decode a JSON Web Token. Someone asked me why you're doing this and not going to JSON Web Token IO. And the answer is, first, it is not that much code. And second, I can do this in log files, for instance, which is very useful. Right? So let's see. So if I just run the code here. So what you see, it works. So it decoded the JSON Web Token. Why? Or how it works? Very simple, base 64. So I split because I know they are the dots, so I can split. So what is harder, I will need cryptography to check whether the signing is working. But usually this is not what I'm doing with JSON Web Token IO either of the website. No one checks the signing. You would like to see what's inside. But this is also useful, right? It's cool. So and now I can imagine what happens, right? So I combine all these shorts. So I have one script which goes to my clipboard, fetches the token, and prints, for instance, to a terminal. This is one combination with half a page Java code. Okay, this is what I usually hate, but in automation, these ternary operators, I use it a lot if it's shorter because no one cares, infrastructure as code and stuff like that. So what it happens is if input is blank, then go this, otherwise use the input. Right? So this is also nothing specific. Peak. Many were actually excited about the peak. So don't use the peak in production. What you can do with the peak, you can look inside a stream. So if I run this, so for debugging, it's golden. So Java. Actually, we can make 100. No, so you see BB. So this is peak before, and this is the peak after. So I'm adding star to the B, right? This is B and B. You see this? Very helpful. I saw in project they're using peak to modify, the state. This is really dangerous because peak is not guaranteed it's always invoked. There are some operations where it's not invoked. So I'm a Sun certified Java programmer, and I still remember the question. What is right? And I saw this, I wanted to give up. This was like my first question or second question, right? And so I said, okay, why are you asking? I never saw such a code, right? So this was the first one. And the answer is everything is right. But if someone asks you such a question in interview, you say, okay, I will switch the companies. Maybe not right now, right? But if the economy improves, then switch the companies. Right now, you say, okay, we have to discuss this and try to direct to soft skills or whatever, right? So they're asking. So also very useful, frequency. What it does is I can calculate how many twos or ones are here. So if I run the code, actually I forgot why I used that, but also in a project recently. So you see 3 times 2 happens 3 times. Record in a class, a new pattern. I have a class, and what I usually do, I define records on top of methods, and these records are used often as return values, for instance. So, you know what I mean? So I have a record, and let's say I would like to have result. Let's say this is success, true or false, and the real payload. So I will create a record result, and I declare it on top of a method that it works good. So with that, I can check are the duplicates, and this is such a case with a record. So the record is int, number, and frequency, and it says if frequency bigger 1, there's a duplicate, and with that, I can search for duplicates in a stream, which is not easy. But with a record, somehow easy. Okay. So if I run the code here, you should see so that there are these duplicates. Okay, stream concat all the time, 2 streams, and I would like to have 1 stream. There is stream concat, stream 1, 2 to list done. So pretty cool. FlatMap. So all the time, what's the deal with FlatMap, and what FlatMap does is I have a stream, and this thing returns a stream as well. So what I would like to have is 1 stream of strings here, and not stream of streams. And what what FlatMap does is it flattens the streams. So I have just the values. So if I just run the code here, Java. You see, hey Java, hey Duke, hi Java, hi Duke. So I get this Java and Duke, and this is prefix hey and hi is prefix with Java and Duke. Hey Java Duke, hi Java Duke, hi Duke. Okay. Now there is a mapMulti, and it's similar to FlatMap but faster. Okay. So it's also with addition in Java. So you can use what's the advantage of mapMulti? The advantage is it can be 0, 1, or more. So this is actually the advantage in mapMulti. Future state. So now a little bit threading, the old future. What future can have are states. So if I run the code here, I can check the state. So running, success. So you can ask, in which state the future is. Okay, is it helpful? Yes. If you parallelize something and you have lots of futures, you can ask the future, are you done? In which state are you? And then you can ask, right, for the result. Shortest main, this is preview feature, so I don't show it, but this is how Java will look in the future. So it will not only that, they will also the import on part of Java base module and Java IO module. So println everything will be in place. Okay. So this is an asynchronous client. This is like curl. This is all you need. This is asynchronous, so it's harder. So what it means is, what happens here is I have HTTP request, new builder, get build, send async. So I can send async and say, and if you are done, then call body. So then I'm searching for that, and then accept this. So you get the result here, asynchronous client. Mostly I use synchronous clients for everything, but sometimes if you have a method, you call something and say, and if you're done, call this method. This is perfect, right? So my name is Bean, and this is the first magical bean, right? So this is a magical bean event handler. Java beans. There's event handler class, pretty cool. Watch this. Event handler create runnable. So I say I would like to intercept runnable, and I'm passing an up here, and say no. If you are done, call notify Duke. Notify Duke. So if I run the method, this is like built-in aspects, right? You see, run was called. So what this does, it creates like a wrapper around my runnable, and it invokes the method beforehand. This is built-in aspects, and old like Java. So switch with records. So this is normal now, but back then it was hot. So what you can have is I can pass, you see here dev, and I say switch instance in case it's dev. So I'm here, and I don't have to cast. And in case it's string, I'm here. And if there's anything else, so it's just default. So it's the first one. And the cooler one is destructuring. I call it destructuring because it's called in JavaScript, and this is deconstruction actually. And what this does is I have a runtime here. This is my record. And I can actually extract variables from here. You see name, age, and weight. Okay? So shorter interface, lots of drama in, on the internet. You can write such a thing. So if I run the code here, shorter internet fields, interface fields, sorry. We could make it actually with the 100. So you see, what I get out is public static final int, which means is you don't have to write public final static int. It's default. So if you define constants in an interface, it's just enough to say int whatever number, string whatever number. You don't have to declare public final static. That's all. So list copy of. What it does, it creates an unmodifiable copy of the list. Clipboard washer. This is the first useful thing. So what it does is you copy something, and it pastes it again, but without styles. So if I, for instance, copy this and then say clipboard washer, so then it will, so it just, I have this now in my clipboard. If I will copy to pages or presentation, it will be without any styling. So list last element. Okay, this is get last sequence collections, nothing new. Block, you can have block like that, just a block, and this message is not visible outside. List files in the directory. Why I'm this files.list? That's all you need. I got the question from Python developers to say, okay, this is very hard in Java. So not really. It's just one method. Then leading zero formatting. You can have this. This is actually also nice, useful as 70. You see leading zeros. It looks actually nice. Close of streams. Sometimes files directory, for instance, you have to close it and then it's try with finally. So sometimes if you work with streams, Java IO streams, you have to close them. So you will find this the answer in Javadoc. But if you're working with files, it's a good thing to know if you're working, with many transactions per second. So it could be helpful. So FlatMap with optional. Also useful. Optionals, they are coming back. And what I'm doing, I'm chaining them. It's like first is the Duke, then second, then last. So first, second, last. And what FlatMap does on optional, it unwraps the optional. So I get the real value. So I can chain optionals together, which is pretty useful. You have multiple methods you would like to call. Okay, this one, console yes, no. So I have a script, and I would like to see, whether the user clicked yes or no. Let's try that. So yes, and by no is no. Okay. Create folders, we added already. System logger configuration, you can configure the system logger with logging properties. Why it's useful? Because it always ships with a line break, additional one. In logging properties, you can very easily remove that. This one was the most exciting one to everyone. And let's launch it. So here we have it. Everyone was excited, like crazy what Java can do. Like, okay, I never had the requirement from my clients, but yeah. This you have all the emojis. So you can ask for the memory with runtime mxbean. This is also old hack. There is a runtime get runtime or mxbean. Is lowercase, so there is a method character is lowercase. You can ask whether everything is here lowercase. So what this does is, I know is this everything lowercase or there's one capital case, right? This is what people also got excited. 42 is a number as a string, and I would like to transform it to a number. So what happens here? Integer.parseInt, and what I get back is an int. So if I run the code here, it is 82, 43. Plus 1, exactly. I added 1, so works as designed, right? So then this is even cooler. Watch this. So this is my the enterprise version of emoji, and I would write this. So you get the emojis with the description, which is pretty cool, right? Reading in streams. So what this is, you can read as long as it's an integer from the console. If it's not an integer, it stops. Built in Java. So 3 lines of code. So we can jav as 84. No, the beep is, I will skip that. This is exciting, but not that, right? So and I can say 1, 2, 3, but it will stop on non-integer, for instance. And you can, of course, I use it for parse files, actually. So I'm parsing files, and if it's not ints or whatever, it's just skipped. Okay, this is why I use that. String to CSV, so this is multi-line string, collectors joining, done. Also, or what I could also do is join here, invoke will be the same code. So nice date, like this. Enum as logger. So in my small CLI libraries, what I tend to do is I write log info out, and it's just an enum. And if I just run it, jav as 88, so it looks like this. And this is actually all you need is this one class. In all my CLI or tool libraries, I use that and to get a nicer output, for instance. So what you can have, this reads file attributes. So I'm creating here a file, or creating, this file was created, this was this one, and I'm asking, give me the attributes. And as this is jav s89. So this was the file creation time. So you can ask files for attributes, creation time, and so forth, right? So how much time do you actually have? You know it? 6 minutes, okay. Hex format, parse hex, use it for encryption. Not that exciting. Let's go here. So there is some by function and operators, and the difference is the operators are typed and by function are not typed. This is also interesting. Learned this accidentally. There's one. Okay, so I have list of lists, and I would like to flat it. So I would like to have a one long list. And how this works is stream, FlatMap, and stream. And what I get out is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is everything in one sequence. So it looks like that. OK. This one is interesting. What happens here? I have how many? 100 million integers. And what I'm calculating here is modulo. What is faster, stream or parallel stream? Who knows? I heard something. So with that, 400 milliseconds. And I would say stream, because there's no I/O, nothing, right? But actually, if you run this, it's parallel stream, which is really surprising here. Because parallel stream comes with the overhead, and there is nothing. What happens here, I'm just calculating the modulo. So there is actually no heavy operation. So my intuition would say, if you parallel streams, if you call something out and you have to wait for it, then use parallel streams. So this is the exception. So this went wild. So there were discussions why it is the case and why not. But it's interesting that it is, right? OK, for each versus stream, we can skip that. Oh, this is also cool. So someone asked me how to load Java class. So this is a Java class. And what I can do is I can load it now from 9.7, sorry, wrong button. So superhero, what I did, I loaded a class from base64 string dynamically in superhero. Yeah, and the comment was cool. You have to look it up. One comment was, don't do it in production. The other one was like, I would always prefer compile apps. Like, I know this was just proof of concept. So I'm really not doing this in production. So you have it. So sometimes Duke class cast, you can cast classes if you have them. This is if you work dynamically. For instance, if I get this class, there is nothing on disk. I cannot refer to this class, but I could still use .class, .cast method, right? So minimalistic logger, this goes one step further, info and error. So it logs in colors here. And all time zones, this is all you need to print all the time zones in Java. And also useful, what I wrote, small tool, you can imagine if there is a podcast with someone in US and would like to know the time, this is actually a few lines of code and you know the time zones. This is actually, people are also surprised that such a thing is possible. So I have array of runnables and they're actually lambdas and I can call them. So this is actually nothing special, but yeah, caused a lots of excitement. Let's see. So clock, super useful for unit tests. You can, for instance, set a clock back in unit tests with clock instance, right? So I don't have the unit test here. And by the way, you can use unit tests without Maven, just Java like that. So clocks. You are almost over, and I never thought it's possible, over 100 snippets. And I think we have 1 minute left, so maybe we see what's interesting here. Open URI in browser. So desktop, get URI, browse, and it opens the default browser. Also very useful after Javadoc, whatever you would like to have it. This is one-liner. Days to vacations. The most, so this is local date, this is actually Java 1 date, and chronological days between now and Java 1, and what you get back is 159 days, for instance. And someone said, okay, days to vacations without weekends. I also implemented this somewhere, so let's see, first month. This one is cool. This is the last one. Java S118. So this is the memory, right? So it's okay. Java uses now 27 megs, okay? So if I do mx25, should break, right? It doesn't. Now 18, so okay, then you get 15. and say, okay, now I use only 7. So, okay, cool. Then you get 5. So now it says 6. So, okay, you are lying, but let's see what happens. So 2. So you can run Java on 2 megs, right? And with 1, Java says too much, you are crazy. So you can launch a Java program with 2 megs of heap. It works perfectly. So try this with Python. No idea. Maybe it works. Never tried that. No idea. So thank you for coming. I hope it was fun. And the next session is serious about how to integrate LLMs in enterprise projects, because everyone asked me about that. Which strategy do you have? And less code, far less code. Some code I will show the JLlama and the Llama 3 Java and Bedrock or whatever. So more serious topic. But thank you for coming. And see you next year. And if we do it, completely different shorts. We have thousands of them. And if you like stickers, stickers.
All systems are nominal. Initialize Genesis sequence.